I'm Jess Rose. I'm here every Tuesday and Thursday at 8 p.m. Tuesdays I'm a request evening. Thursdays are stories I like to bring to you. I'm also over on TikTok, which is Jess Rose 5472, and my Patreon, patreon.com/Jess Rose 5472. Don't turn off. Don't do it. I know you're tempted. Don't do it. I know it's a live, but I'll say hello to everyone, and then once I start the story, I won't stop. So you could even fast forward if you want to. So let me just have a quick chat with the guys in the live, and then we'll start the story. Hey sis, hey Warwick, how are we? Have we had a good weekend, guys? How have we been? How have we been? What have we been up to? Where have we gone? So there's a lot going on. But how are we? Are we all okay? My arm's still very sore, guys. Hey Phil, how are you? How was work? Was it good? I know you don't mind work, so I can say, like, normally it'd be like, how was work? But I know you like it, so I can be like, how was work? Was it fun? I don't know if I call it fun though. Would you say it was fun? I don't know if that's what I'd say. But we've got sunshine tomorrow coming, guys. Very excited. So on Thursday, this should look like a crab stick. I'm very excited. Bit of sun. I think we've got 2 whole days of it coming. So I don't know if you are excited, but I'm very excited. I'd like a little bit of colour before I go to Lanzarote, man. Very excited about that, as you can see. It's just under 2 weeks now. Ooh, 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 ooh. I don't know what that was. I need to calm down. I'm very hyped up. I don't know what's going on. I don't think I've given myself enough of a chance to calm down before I came on. Normally I have to calm down first. But come on, what we've been up to? Tell me. What's been going on? Tell me, guys. What's happening? It's Warwick's story tonight, everyone. No jokes about rugs, carpets, or munching tonight, Tiff. Rugs, carpets, or munching tonight, Tiff. Oh, is it because it's your story? That's not connected, though. Were they the conversations? Is that what I missed the other day? Oh! How slow was that? Didn't even connect it. For goodness sake. Yes, no jokes about any of that stuff tonight. Oh my God, sorry, Warwick. I don't know why I didn't collect it then. For goodness sake. Oh dear. I will absolutely make all the jokes about that. You can't do that. I love the Saturday work. You know me. Oh, I do, Phil. I know you enjoy it. You're a very unusual person. Not many people enjoy going into work, but it's nice that you do. When I was working in the office, I've got to admit, every Monday morning I'd be like, please say that, you know, something's broke so I haven't got to stay in there all day. That'd be me. Yes, I can. So she knows. How slow was that of me? I didn't have a clue what he was on about. How can you speak with me? Oh, guys, it's going to be that night, isn't it? It really is. You're terrible. This is your story as well, Phil. Phil, Warwick. Sorry, Phil. You got the tone then, and it wasn't even you. I'll fix my cushion. Fix the cushion. They're not staying up. Anyway, I'm talented, Warwick. She's very talented, though. She is. I've heard. She's very talented. I don't know. We're not that kind of family, but I've heard. Are you taking the kids out? For the holiday? Yes, I am. Yes, I am. I've told them as well. And I got a letter today saying they're not going to authorise it, which I didn't think they would. So, yes. But I'm not, I'm not going to not, because my kids can't lie for toffee at all. So, and I wouldn't want them to, you know. Not only that, they're going back with a tan. So I can't really get away with anything, can I? Jess, I'm just completely weird that way. Oh, it's not weird, Phil. It's really nice, actually. There's not many people who do get happy and excited to go to work, so it's quite nice. But yes, so I don't know what happened there. I don't know what, that was a glitch. I have told them. So there you go. You reckon? They put it up as well, you know. It last year it was £60 per child per parent, and now it's £80 per child per parent. It's still cheaper than trying to take them away in July and August, though. So what can you do? What can you do? I mean, I can tell my mum that you've authorised her paying the fine and see what she says, but I don't know if she'll go along with it. Hey, Jilly, how are you? How was your weekend? Did you get up to anything exciting? Anything exciting to share with the group? Because we haven't got anything. Nothing. Phil went to work. I am worried. That's what I am, deep down. Well, not really, because I told them. I'm actually a goody two-shoes, technically. But I told them, they said no, and we're going anyway. So maybe I am a little bit of a rebel. But hey-ho, you provided, you pay it in the right time, otherwise it's... Oh, I know. It goes up to... So it would be £3.20, but if it's not paid in time, it's £6.40. Marvellous pat on the back for the council, eh? They're raking it in. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. But what can you do? What can you do? I couldn't see their schools. You have to phone in every day as well. And I'm not doing that. I'm not doing it. In painting, there's more on me than there is on the walls. Oh, Jilly, that's like me. I'm not, ask Tiffany, I'm not allowed to paint. I'm not allowed. I'm allowed normal emulsion, but gloss, I'm not allowed anywhere near it. It's a complete mess. Do you know what worried? I came very close to making that decision about 6 months ago. But I'm just seeing how it goes. But to be honest, I can see that happening in the next year or so. I mean, unless there's a big change. Jilly, yes, Jess is not allowed near. I'm not Jilly. I'm not allowed near any gloss whatsoever. It becomes a complete mess. And I really do try, but it's shocking. It's shocking. I haven't got that kind of patience, and I just want it done. Because in my mind's eye, it should take seconds, and glossing doesn't take seconds, and I don't get that. And I get very frustrated. So yeah, I'm not allowed near the paintbrush when glossing's to be done. I don't like it either. It's very hard to get out. Glossies. I've got to admit, it was last time we painted, I think it was the kitchen ceiling. And I had big chunks of it on my kitchen floor behind my cooker, luckily. So when the cooker gets pulled out, when you clean behind the cooker, it's big splodges of paint. I don't even know how I managed to do it, because I didn't actually get it on the cooker. Went behind it. I don't know how it happened. And no, I didn't cover anything. So that was probably why. But yeah, I'm not allowed. But always get the job. Oh, if I can get away with it, I will cry and throw my toys out the pram to not have to do it. Hate it. I'll clean. Painting, not so much. Not a fan of the painting at all. But I'm going to start the story, guys. Like I say, it's Warwick's... I don't know what's going on this evening. Even before you came on, I went to speak and it just came out. Not even like a similar word. It just came out noise. I don't know what's going on. So I'll try that again. Yes, it's Warwick's request this evening is what I was trying to say. So we're going to do this. It's just that I use masking tape. I suggested the bugger. Yes, Jilly, 100%. Don't try and advise me on something once I've started it. Don't come near me. If I'm doing it, leave me alone. There's only probably 1 or 2 people that I would take advice from. Anyone else, it'd be like, they'd just get a glare. What do they call it? Side eye. That's what they would get from me. No words. Just a look. So I completely get that. Oh, do you know what I've done with this story? Oh, for goodness sake. Tiffany, you said you've looked at this one. Bombastic Soda, that's it. Tiffany, what's Devon's mum's name? Did you manage to get it? I have got it. My brain's gone blank and I haven't written it down. Goodness sake. Oh, God. I've got to do it. I've got to do it in the story. Melody. Thank you. I've got Rick. I've got the brother. I just, for some reason, I didn't. Melody. Thank you. Thank you. My God. Well, that would have been a good start, wouldn't it? I've just seen the blank. And I'm like, what haven't I written it down? Right. Anyway. Bit of behind the scenes there. I get very carried away. And I move through my notes very fast because something else will come into my head. Right, okay. So I'm going to do my intro now, my second intro. And maybe it's for your mouth, Jilly. I didn't even see that. Yes, so I'm going to do my second intro now and we're going to start the story. Well done, Tiffany. I'm very pat on the back for you. I've got to admit, pat on the back because I'd have been real. I can't check, can I? I haven't got the phone, so well done, you. So brownie points for Miss Moderator Extraordinaire there. The siren comes in. Thank you. Right, okay, let's go. So let's do it. Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. It's True Crime with Jess Rose. Hi, Kelly. Every time. Wasn't that last week as well? How are you? Hope you're okay. I'm literally just about to start. It's Warwick's story this evening. So I'm about to start now. So I was about to do my intro and you watch, I'll start and Jessica will come in. Right, okay, let's go for take 2. Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. It's True Crime with Jess Rose. I'm here every Tuesday and Thursday at 8 p.m. Tuesdays are my request evening. Thursdays the stories I like to bring to you. I'm also over on TikTok and it's Jess Rose 5472. And my Patreon, patreon.com/Jess Rose 5472. Oh, now that we've got all that out of the way, if you'd like to subscribe, I'd really appreciate it. Or just watching. I love that just as much. So thank you so much. Thank you. Right, tonight's story is the horrific Devon Guzman story. Okay. Oh, and it is, as they all are. That's what you hear. They all are. So it was a request this evening from our subscriber Warwick. So this is how we know this story, because I got to admit I didn't know it. I wasn't aware of it. So thanks to him, I know it and now you will. Okay, so Devon Guzman. Okay, her mum Melody, her dad Rick, and she also has had a brother Derek Lee Guzman. Okay. She was born on the 9th of June 1981 in New Jersey. It is an American story. Okay. Now, not a lot of history on Devon's early life. Just her mum saying that she was just a very nice, kind girl, got on very well at school. She's quite a petite little thing, Devon was. Pretty. And just seemed like your everyday, normal, all-American girl. Okay? Now, there was the 3 friends at high school, all right? When she got to high school, there was Devon herself, her friend Kiri Renner, and Michelle Hetzel. Okay. And these three went around together once they got to high school, and where there was one, there was always the other type deal. They were quite close friends. But whilst in high school, I believe it was in her senior year, Devon actually came out to her parents, okay, and she came out as bisexual. Now her parents were very accepting of this, it wasn't a problem. And it was because Devon and Kiri had actually begun a relationship, okay? And now I don't know before they started this relationship, obviously we'd heard they were friends. I don't know how that dynamic worked before they went into a relationship, because once they were in this full-blown relationship, it became quite volatile. Now, Kiri herself, she's not exactly a slight girl. She's not mega tall. She's quite, I suppose you'd say she was just a normal sized girl, but what it was is Devon was very petite. She was a tiny, tiny little thing. So in their arguments, that was, everyone realised that did become physical, Devon would always come off the worst, okay? Now I've heard Kiri even say it would be physical, and they would hit each other. Devon would pull her hair. She said bottles that would be thrown. It really was quite serious, their arguments were, and it was mainly through jealousy and things like that the would rile one or the other up. Okay. Now they ended up moving into an apartment, and this apartment was over a bar, and this was in Eastern Pennsylvania. And sometimes their arguments would be so loud that the patrons of the bar would hear this banging around upstairs, which is quite unusual, because you would imagine you could be as noisy as you like if you had a bar downstairs. They wouldn't hear you in any way. You've got music, you've got people talking, drinking, singing. There's a whole lot that goes on in a bar. So the fact that sometimes their arguments could be heard downstairs, I just thought was quite unusual. And also points to the fact of just how loud these girls would fight. Now Michelle, do you remember I said there was three girls? There was Devon, Kiri, and Michelle, and the three friends. Now Michelle, when she finished high school, she ended up getting married to Brandon Bloss, who they had it was a young love type deal, and they got married very early. All three of these girls are only about 19, okay, 18, 19. They're very young. Now, Kiri and Devon's relationship, though, it continued to be very volatile. And like I say, Kiri was the bigger of the two. There was a friend that had, one time in the apartment, she'd come out of the bathroom, I believe, or one of the rooms, and she saw Devon and Kiri in the hallway. And Kiri actually had Devon pushed up against the wall, quite aggressively. And it was only, she happened to, Brandon Bliss, his name is. And as she turned, I think it was Kiri, turned and saw this friend standing there. She stopped her attack on Devon. So it was seen by people. Now Rick, which is Devon's dad, also said he didn't like Kiri. He liked Michelle, but he didn't like Kiri at all. Not many people did. They just thought she wasn't good for Devon. Obviously with the aggression and everything else, people just didn't really like them as a couple. Now, we get to the 14th of June, 2000. Okay. And as with many evenings, Devon and Kira get into a row in their apartment. Now remember, they're over a pub, and the patrons in the pub really hear serious banging and shouting from upstairs, so much so the manager of the pub actually goes and listens upstairs, and he comes back and he says, "Oh, it's just the girls fighting again." You know, that's how loud this argument was that they were having. Now it got to about 12 a.m. Okay. And Devon was just like, I'm leaving. I'm going to Michelle's. So she left the apartment. Like I say, it's about 12 a.m. So we're going into the 15th of June 2000 now. And she just tells Kiri, I'm going to Michelle's. And she leaves in her, she's got a brand new car and she leaves. And Kiri, obviously, this wouldn't have been the first time. It's probably best that they were separated. Kiri's like, right, okay, she's gone to Michelle's, fine. All right. Now, Kiri, after a couple of hours, because Devon hasn't come back, she rings Michelle. And Michelle's like, well, she was supposed to come round, but she didn't show up. So I just thought, she wasn't coming. And Kira was like, but no, she was on her way to yours. Now, this is quite a small town they live in. There wouldn't be anywhere else Devon would have gone to, especially at that time of the morning. So they start panicking, both Kiri and Michelle. Because don't forget, Michelle believed that Devon was coming over. She was quite laid back, thinking, oh, well, she's obviously decided not to. Then when she hears that Devon had left to come round, she starts to panic a little bit. They both do, okay? So it gets to 3 a.m. and Michelle phones 911. She phones the police. That's how worried they are about Devon, because this, not only is it not like her, they're like, where could she possibly be? Where could she have gone? So Michelle, as the time's gone on, she says to Kiri, look, I'm going to come and get you and we'll go and look for her. There's no point sitting here, we can't sleep. Let's go and see if we can find her. So Michelle goes and collects Kira. Remember, Kira and Michelle have known each other a very long time too, from high school. Like I say, it was the three of them that used to go around together. So Michelle and Kira are driving around and they're looking, and they end up in a deserted car park, and there's one car in there, and it's Devon's. Okay, so Kiri's like, pull in there, it's a car, and Michelle pulls her car right up behind Devon's car, and Kiri gets out, and she rushes to the car, looks through the windows, and what she sees is Devon in the back seat with her coat over her. So she opens the door, and the door was open. She opens the door, and it looks like it would have been a two-seater type car, not two-seater, four-seater, two-door car. So she opens the front door and pushes the passenger seat forward so she can get to Devon and wake her up. She believes she's asleep. But then she starts to notice that her lips are purple and she's not responding. She's not responding to Kira. And then she starts to realise there's something really wrong. And Michelle, who's watching this, calls 911 again. The police and the paramedics come out, rush out, and when they get there, they lean into the car, they get Devon out, and they realise that even though obviously she'd had the jacket over her, when they remove the jacket, they can see that her throat has actually been cut. And Devon Guzman, just a week, 1 week after her 19th birthday, she was so young, was pronounced dead at the scene. 1 week after turning 19, just from nowhere, in her own car, okay? Now, what the police saw was she was holding a knife in her hand, and she actually had a syringe in the waistband of her trousers. They also noticed that she had some grass and dirt on the back of her. But her throat had been cut very, very, very deep. And it was said that it had gone through the carotid artery, excuse me. And that baffled the police, because if you went through your carotid artery in your throat, you have two of them, there would be blood everywhere. Apparently it would be. It sounds awful, but it would spurt, apparently. And the car would have been covered, but there wasn't any blood there. And with the grass on her back, the police started to think, we don't think she was actually killed here, but they don't know. They're not too sure what's going on at that moment. They were very baffled. Now, the knife that was found in Devon's hand also had no blood on it. And that knife doesn't really match the damage that's been done to this girl's throat. They're very confused by what's going on. Now, the syringe that was in her waistband, it's obviously looking like it's pointing to suicide. But when they do a toxicology report on Devon, there's no drugs in her system either, even though she'd had a syringe in her waistband. So they begin to think this scene's been staged. The knife doesn't match the knife that's killed her. The syringe, there was nothing in it. She had no drugs in her system. It was just, it looked like it had been completely set up. Obviously, no blood in the car. And there was also the car mat in her car. One of her car mats were missing. They noticed that. So Kira and Michelle are brought in for questioning, because obviously they're the first there. They find Devon. So they're brought straight in for questioning. And straight away, Michelle begins to tell the police, how volatile the relationship between Devon and Kiri was, which everyone knew. So, of course, when the police start to hear all this, they start to look at Kiri with a lot more suspicion. Now, in her interview, she does admit they'd rode the night before. She said they did. She didn't hide it. She didn't hide that they rode in their relationship. But she says, look, she left. She left the house. She left the apartment. And I didn't see her again. She said she was going to Michelle's. Obviously, Michelle on the other side is saying, not only didn't she turn up, we know just how violent their relationship, how violent Kiri was to Devon, although Kiri puts it across that it was mutual. But like I say, Kiri's a lot bigger than Devon. Now, not only were the police looking at Kiri with a lot more suspicion, so were Devon's family. Rick, Devon's dad, he openly says he believes that it's Kiri that's done this to his daughter. The family are utterly heartbroken. They're devastated over the loss of their daughter. She was everything to them. She used to go around and have a coffee with her mum every single morning. And her mum that morning had noticed, she hadn't turned up for this coffee. Shortly after, she finds out why. It was a shock to everybody. Like I say, it was a small town that they lived in, and everybody is looking straight at Kira. It's, why wouldn't they? Everyone knew how their relationship was. Now, the grass and the dirt on the back of Devon, the police were confused by that, so they are wondering, was she dragged to the car? So they honestly don't believe that the car, they believe, was a secondary crime scene. And there's a Lieutenant Barry Golazeski, I hope I pronounced that right, who is brought in to try and solve what's gone on in this case. And it was him that said it was a secondary crime scene because Devon has died elsewhere, and we need to find out where. We need to find out what's going on. So Kiri herself swears she loves Devon. She swears she had nothing to do with it. She owns up about the fights that they had, but she says, I would never have done that. I love Devon. I would never, ever, ever have done that. Well, we've heard that a lot, haven't we? You know, we hear that all the time in any of these cases. No, it wasn't me. It wasn't me. You know, it's all pointing at me, but no, it wasn't me. So no one's really believing her. And then she talks about the night before. She does. And she says how bad it was. She says that they were pulling each other's hair, and the manager had, heard it, the patrons downstairs had heard it. She really did, but she swears Devon was okay when she left. So the police, not believing any of this, get a warrant to search the apartment that Kieran shared with Devon. So when they go into the apartment, it's all a bit, it's not ordered, things are knocked over. So you can see there's been an altercation in this apartment. But when they look in the bathroom and in the shower, it's like a shower cubicle, what's in there? The mats from the car. I remember I said one of the mats were missing. Okay. And they notice it's been washed, and they see in the shower cubicle under the mat what appears to be bits of blood in the cubicle. Okay. So what they do, they bring in luminol. Now, I don't know if you know about luminol. Well, what it is, it's a chemical that's used for crime scenes where blood has been cleaned. It's been cleaned up. So if you've got a crime scene and there has been a lot of blood there, you will find that people will try and use bleach, or they'll try and clean up the crime scene basically. And this luminol, well, it's a chemical that when the lights are turned off, it's sprayed, the lights turned off, and it glows. It's very eerie to see because you're seeing it in the dark. It's like it reminds me of, do you remember the clubs, like a black light, and it all shows up, like your teeth look mega white? It's like that, but because it's blood, it's very eerie to see when you see it in any crime scenes. So when they spray the luminol in the shower cubicle, it glows up like a Christmas tree. It's quite obviously there is blood remnants in this shower cubicle. Okay. Now DNA was done on the blood that was in that shower cubicle, and it was Devon's. Okay, not looking good. So Kiri does a lie detector, okay, and she agrees to it. She doesn't have a problem with doing it, but it comes back inconclusive. Again, not a good sign. So Kiri, just having enough of all of this, basically saying, look, I had nothing to do with this, but why are you only asking me questions? Why aren't you asking Michelle questions? And the police are like, what do you mean? We've spoken to Michelle, she said she turned up. She goes, no. Michelle and Devon have been having an affair for ages, since high school. And the police are just gobsmacked because Michelle obviously hadn't said anything. Kiri hadn't mentioned it. And it turns out that Devon had been having an on and off on-off relationship with Michelle, like I say, since high school. So these three friends that had been very close, I believe, in their senior year, it had progressed with the three of them. And it would seem that Michelle and Kira would vie for the attention and the love of Devon. So Devon, for all intents and purposes, she was kind of in the middle. And you know, she'd be with Kira, and then she'd when they fall out. From reading between the lines of the interviews and the documentaries I've watched, it would seem that Kiri was very invested in Devon, but Devon was more invested in the relationship with Michelle. That's kind of like what I'm seeing. But I can't be 100% on that. That's personally just my opinion. Okay. Now, it would seem that Devon and Michelle had literally just got back from a holiday in the Virgin Islands. Okay. So Kiri and Devon had split up again. And Michelle, I did see an interview with another friend who said Michelle used to try and buy Devon. So she'd spend money on her, she'd try and buy her lavish gifts. And that was kind of her way of reeling Devon in. And so she took her on a holiday, all expenses paid holiday to the Virgin Islands. But there was one little problem with that. You see, Michelle didn't work. She used to work in a doctor's office, but she wasn't even working at this point in time. So you might think, well, how's she affording an all expenses paid holiday to the Virgin Islands? Well, it was all booked and paid for with Brandon's credit card. Brandon Bloss, her husband. Okay. Now, it would seem that Brandon was also aware of this affair that's going on. He was also aware of this. Now, I believe it's called, you have your love triangles. This was a love quadrangle, something I hadn't heard of before this case, but apparently everyone knew about each other. Okay, so he didn't know about the holiday though, and he certainly didn't know he was paying for it. He had quite a good job to the point where she didn't have to worry about working. But I don't think the agreement was, you can take this girl away that you're obviously having an affair with. That's not going to happen. But so they've gone on this holiday to the Virgin Islands, but when they get back, Michelle and Devon, they go to Devon's parents, to the parents' home, and Melody's there, and they tell her, and I believe they tell Rick as well, that they got married. They had like a ceremony in the Virgin Islands, and they've got wedding rings. Apparently, Devon's was like a band with diamonds in it. Michelle's was just a plain band. And it's like, you've got a husband, I don't understand. It's like a civil ceremony, so there's nothing legal about it, but still. And the real kicker, Brandon would have paid for those rings without knowing about it, but those rings were bought on his credit card. I mean, there's some gall on this, Michelle, I tell you, there really is. But when they return, and look, say they go to Devon's parents' house and they're explaining this to Melody and Rick, they end up having a little bit of a bicker, Michelle and Devon do, because Michelle's got to go back. She's got to go back home. She shares a house with Brandon. And when Devon realizes, she's going to go back home, she's like, well, okay, well, I'm going to go back with Kira. So it causes a whole problem with Michelle leaves. Devon does as she said. She goes back to Kiri. You know, it's very toxic. The whole thing's very, very toxic. They seem like a very immature group, playing adults, kind of playing house. I don't know. Maybe it wasn't. It was just the impression I got. It's yeah, it's very toxic. And in between, like I say, you have got Devon, and I think she must have been very confused with her feelings, you know. I think she really did care a lot for Michelle, from what I can gather. And maybe she thought that once they exchanged these rings and they had their civil ceremony, maybe she thought that when they got back to reality that Michelle would just be like, right, okay, I'm going to go home, I'm going to pack my stuff and, you know, I'm going to leave, because apparently the discussion with Rick and Melody, obviously Devon's parents, was also, you know, can we live here for a bit? You know, they had that discussion with them. So there was a lot going on. So for Michelle to just be like, right, I'm going to go back to my hubby now. It must have been a shock for Devon. And Devon was like, right, such then I'm going back to Kira. So that's what I mean. It was a lot. Now, Brandon and Kira themselves, very aware of this affair, very aware of it. You know, it's not like it was hidden in any way. Now, while the police are still trying to find out what exactly has happened here, and bearing in mind, up until this point, they 100% believed it was Kira. You know, they really did. But the mat that had been cleaned in the shower cubicle, it came back that was like a food substance, and Kira had said they'd spilt like beetroot on the mat. That's why it had been taken out to be cleaned, which of course wasn't believed at first, but it turns out once it had been tested that it came back as it was a food product on the mat. Also the blood that was at the bottom of the shower cubicle, it turns out it's not 100%, but it would seem it could have come from a time of the month from the girls, either one. So the police were really struggling. They were like, what's going on? So when Michelle was thrown into the mix by Kiri, they're like, what do we know about this group? What do we know about this case? So a witness comes forward, and he says that he saw Devon on the night in question. He saw her, and he saw Devon at Michelle and Brandon's house, and he looked out his window because he could hear loud talking. He said it was about 12:35 a.m., which would tie in to her leaving their apartment at 12 a.m. So he said he could hear sort of, it was loud talking, and when he looked out, he could see Brandon and Michelle at their front door, and then whom we now know is Devon, was sort of in their front garden, but they were talking. He couldn't make out if they were arguing, but they were certainly very loud. So the fact is Devon did go to Michelle's on the night of her murder. Okay. So they admitted then, even after saying, you know, we know nothing about it, well, Michelle especially, they go on to admit, yes, she was here. She came in for an hour, but she left. She did leave. That's why we didn't say anything, because she left. And then we did get worried, because then Kira was asking, you know, where is she? We assumed she'd gone back there. So there's all this, Kira thinking she's gone there. They thought she'd gone there. There's all this malarkey going on. Now the police get a warrant for their house, Michelle and Brandon's, but they don't find anything in the house. They even spray aluminum. They don't find anything in the house. Okay. Now but what they do is when they're looking around the house, okay, they do find a pair of jeans in the washing machine, okay. So I think what they were looking for was, don't forget, remember I said a carotid artery had been slit, okay. They are looking for a substantial amount of blood, so when they put the luminol around their house and don't find anything, they're like, but that, like I say, they look in the washing machine and they do find a pair of Michelle's jeans in the water. When they take them out, it's what looks like blood on these jeans. Okay, so there's that. Now, they also spray the back garden with luminol because there's nothing in the house. Now, remember, Devon had grass and dirt on her back, and it did look like she'd been dragged, if you remember from earlier. Now, the luminol showed up that there was blood on the pool cover and on the nozzle of the water hose, okay? But when they try and check it for DNA, there's not enough blood on this place. Like, they're really struggling. Now, what happens is then the genes that I've mentioned, they do belong to Michelle, as I said. And when they search it, don't forget, they do find little blood spatters on there. But what they find as well, they find a syringe cap. A syringe cap. What was in Devon's waistband that was staged? A syringe. And the cap that they found in Michelle's jeans matched the syringe that had been found in Devon's waistband. It's all circumstantial, but it's all starting to add up, okay? Now, the police, they know there's something going on here, so they set up a surveillance of Michelle and Brandon's home. And they notice that Brandon brings his rubbish out. You know, it's bin day, he brings his rubbish out. Well, apparently, I didn't realise, but when your rubbish is put out on the street, it becomes public. That's public. You can go in people's rubbish. I didn't know that. Maybe it's just the police, but it says it's public. So, yeah, I wasn't aware of that. But when he puts the rubbish out, this policeman who was watching him, he runs over and he grabs the rubbish bag and he brings it back, okay? And what they find in there is a plaster. Like a plaster. It's called a telfer pad, like a gauze, okay? And on there is what looks like a outline of a mouth of teeth on this gauze, which would have been on an injury of somebody's, okay? So they're like, it's like a marked outline. Now, remember I says Michelle used to work at a doctor's surgery. I did mention that, so they're thinking, right, she could have got the syringe from there when she was working there. So now they've got all of this going on. All three have got a motive. All three are suspects, okay? So the plaster that was found, it's called a telfer pad, that had been found with the mouth outline, okay? Like I say, it was like a bite mark. So now they had probable cause to bring Brandon in, to bring him into the police station, okay, and inspect his body, because the last time they'd spoken to him, they noticed he had a jumper on, okay, and it was June, it was the middle of June. Why is he wearing a jumper? He was apparently very hot, and he's got like jumper right down, down here. So they bring him in, and what do they find? A very severe bite mark on his left forearm. And it was quite severe. It really was. And they're like, who bit you? Who did that? So now they're like, right, we need to see where this bite marks come from. But by that point, Devon had already been buried. The family had already held her funeral. Okay, and she had a lot of people at her funeral. Her mum said she had like 400 people who attended her funeral. She's a very loved girl. And unfortunately, which is harrowing for anybody, but it was the only way they could prove this. They had to exhume her grave. That's what they had to do. So they needed the impression of her bite. Okay. So the pathologist did say it was the first time he'd ever done anything like that. He'd never had to exhume someone's grave to be able to get their bite impression. But he did a cast. Now, when I've seen the date, because it's American, I couldn't tell, was it the 8th of July 2000 or was it the 7th of August 2000, because of the way they do their dates, although it did show the year at the end, which made me think it was ours, the way we do it, which would be the 8th of July 2000 when this was done. It's neither here nor there, I just saw the date and I wasn't too sure, but he did an overlay of the cast over an image of Brandon's bite mark, okay? And it was an exact match of Devon's bite, the bite mark that her dental records, the dental cast. It was an exact match. Okay, so they've got that. And when searching Michelle's car, now, remember when I said at the beginning, when Michelle and Kiri pulled up to Devon's car that they'd seen in this deserted car park, Michelle had parked very, very close to the car. I don't know why. I don't know whether she'd sped up. I'm not too sure, but she'd parked really close to Devon's car behind it, sort of at an angle. Well, when the police arrived, because it was so close, her car was impounded because it became part of the crime scene. Okay, so they didn't need a warrant to search her car, and they went into the boot, and in there was a plastic bag. And in this plastic bag, there was Brandon's jeans, jumper, t-shirt, underwear, socks, everything in this plastic bag. And they all had blood on them. All of them. A lot of blood. Okay. And a DNA test was run very quickly, and it was proved that the blood belonged to Devon. So Brandon and Michelle are arrested and charged with first-degree murder there and then. They've got his clothes. They've got the syringe cap out of her jeans. They've got the bite mark from him simply putting his rubbish out. You know, it was said that this was an amazing investigation to find out who'd done this to this young, harmless girl. She hadn't, she was harmless. She was tiny, and for someone, for her end to be that violent, they really wanted to find out who was behind all this, okay? So the prosecutors themselves, they believed it was premeditated by the couple. Now, there was a search of their call records, and they'd actually called Devon at 11:35 p.m. Okay? Now, if you remember, she was having a row with Kira and she left at 12. Now, I don't know, was the row over the phone call? Kiri didn't say that, so whether it was in between the phone call, I'm not too sure. But it was definitely on the records that they had called her and invited her over, okay? Then obviously she was seen outside their home by the witness, and that was at 12:35 a.m. On the 15th of June 2000. So all of the times tie in as well. Now they believe they brought her inside, maybe had a drink with her, maybe, and then convinced her to go into the back garden Now it's said that she did fight. She did, the bite mark on his arm was deep. She really did fight. She didn't stand a chance. She didn't stand a chance against either one of them. So she was overpowered. Now they don't actually know who cut Devon's throat. They don't know which one of them did it, whether Brandon was holding her and it was Michelle who did it. They believe because of the bite mark that Brandon had come behind her. So they don't know if he had the knife when he came behind her or he held her back and it was Michelle. They don't actually know which one of them it was. And Michelle, for their part, Michelle and Brandon, they were blaming each other. This husband and wife, the love of their lives, high school sweethearts. They turned on each other. Yes, they did. Both blamed each other. Now, what it said that after they killed Devon, she'd then been dragged out of the garden, maybe. I don't know why one of them couldn't just carry her, but they dragged her out of the garden, which had picked up the dirt and the grass on Devon's back that I'd mentioned at the very beginning. Drove the car, to the car park. To the car park. And then it would seem that one of them drove Devon's car, Michelle drove her car. They staged Devon in the car to make it look like a suicide. It wasn't even the same knife. I don't know how they thought this was going to. I genuinely don't. When I've been doing this story, I'm like, how did they think this was going to work? And considering it was premeditated, that's what they came up with. It was said that once they'd staged the scene, then Brandon had stripped off, put his clothes in a bag, which is how they'd ended up in the back of Michelle's car, because obviously it was Michelle driving, because he would have had to have drove Devon's car. So that's why the clothes were in the boot. Now, why, when they got home, it said that he would have been naked in that car as well, because he stripped everything off. Why, when they got home, they left the clothes in the boot, I don't know. But because of how fast moving the whole thing was, when Michelle pulled up in her car behind Devon's car that morning, and as I said, she got that close, she didn't get to go to her car again. I mean, they've got to have been stressing, knowing that his clothes were in the boot. They must have realised how stupid that was. I don't know, but it's just ridiculous. And then the real kicker to this, a witness comes forward for the prosecution, and says that in the April or the May of 2000, so about a month or two before this happened, Michelle had actually gone to this guy, someone he considered Michelle his friend. He knew Devon as well. And she basically said, will you kill her for me? And offered to pay him back with, a little bit of the other. He genuinely thought she was joking. He didn't read too much into it. But then when he found out about Devon's murder, he was, where everyone was looking at Kiri, he was looking at her. So he came forward and testified. So eventually they are both found guilty, quite rightly, and given life with no parole. Okay. Now Lieutenant Golazeski, oh goodness, I'm butchering this poor man's name. He actually says it was the first time he'd ever had the victim convict their killer through you know, through their own mouths, essentially, through the bite mark that she left in Brandon. You know, he just said it was the first time he come up across that. But while I was researching it, I just thought, what a waste. What a waste. So when I mentioned earlier, so they were very toxic, but they seemed very immature, right down to this so-called plan and the staging of Devon. You know, this young 19-year-old girl has lost her life because they were all messing about, all of them. They're all guilty of it, you know. And I do believe Devon loved Michelle, and I do believe she thought that when they went on that holiday and they came back, the holiday that had cost apparently $7,000 that had been spent on Brandon's credit card. I think maybe she thought, this is it now. And Michelle was just like, actually, no, thanks for the holiday. Well, the holiday I got on my husband, and that I'm going to go back. You know, it just seems such a mess. You know, Kiri, for her part, you know, she was obviously upset that she was accused and that everyone believed it was her for quite a little while, you know, until it came out about Michelle and Brandon. But I also can't feel sorry for her, because it does say she was quite violent with Devon. And that's why people were so quick to believe it. So, you know, but in her interview, she just says how much she loves her, and she's got like a scrapbook and everything that's obviously been put together that you see in this interview. And, you know, she does say how much she loved Devon, and, you know, how upset she was and everything else. I don't believe for a second she wasn't. I don't. I just think the whole thing's very, very, very sad. Not least because of how young they all are, and not least because of Devon. You know, it was just I say all of them. I didn't mean Brandon and Michelle then, but I'm on about Kiri and Devon. You know, that just so young, and then Devon herself just lost her life for what? For what? For nothing. For nothing. You know, if he was so angry, why was his anger at Devon anyway? It was his wife that spent the money. It was his wife that was cheating on him. Why was it Devon that got his anger? And then Michelle, what was her reasoning behind it? Why had she turned on her? You know, it's all very, very sad. But that was the horrific Devon Guzman story. Just a very sad case. Really was. But very good detective work in it. That's what it has said. The prosecution, everyone said, you know, the detectives, you know, they were determined to find out what happened to this young girl. But yeah, thank you so much for joining me. Like I say, I'm here every Tuesday and Thursday at 8 p.m. Tuesdays on my request evening, Thursdays the stories that I like to bring to you. So if you do have any requests, let me know. And yeah, thank you so much. If you'd like to subscribe, that'd be great. But I just want to say thank you for watching, and I will I'll see you on Thursday. Thank you so much. Take care. Thank you. How are we all, guys? How are we all? I don't think I did that justice at the end, because I was saying I do think it was so sad, but I think I should have said. I just think I shouldn't include her in it because of what happened. Oh, thank you, Kelly. Thank you. Sorry, the fans ate. The fans ate. It happened at the very end. I could just feel my face starting to go. But yeah, it's just really, really sad. Oh, thank you, sis. Thank you. Was that okay, Warwick? Did I was everything in that you did I miss anything? Oh, thank you, Phil. Thank you. It really was. Really was. I'd never heard of it without Warwick. Oh, you're welcome, Warwick. Thank you. Warwick does, he finds these very like unusual ones that I've never heard of. At least this one I could find information on. I think there's been a couple where I'm like, I don't even know how I can do this one. So look, I was really glad I could do it for you. Really, really glad. And if any of you have got any requests, let me know. Obviously Tuesdays are request evenings, so if you do have any, let me know. But yeah, just very sad. What did I miss out? I thought I had everything, Worry. What did I miss? What did I miss out? Tell me now. I spent ages as well making sure I had everything. What did I miss? You have to tell me. I'll have to mention it. Where is he? Where's he gone? Tell me. Oh, Worry. I was so confused then. I was like, I don't know what else there was. I don't know what else there was. I don't know what I missed. Oh, it's terrible. It was, oh yeah, halfway through when I answered, it was the name. And I genuinely was like, did I say the wrong name? That was terrible. Honestly, you caught me. I've been really good lately. And that one caught me, that did. So pat on the back to you, Warwick. Pat yourself on the back. You did actually get me that time. But I didn't look then. I kind of phased you out then, so I couldn't say anything because I thought I can't do it again. But yes, good story though, because I really didn't know that one. I'll take the right name. Yeah, that's what I mean. I knew I'd said it. I knew I'd said the right one, so I was so confused. So confused. I was like, have I pronounced it wrong? Yes, I can see that now, Phil. I can. I didn't get it at first. He's had me going twice, 3 times tonight now. He really is terrible. I can't believe the beginning before I started that I didn't catch on. I thought your team was getting beat. Oh, you see, we're on about football. We're on about the football. Ah, but are we all okay there, though? He is, and I fall for it every time. It's terrible. It really is. I don't know why I haven't caught on. And you know, sometimes when I do think I've caught on, and I'll say, "Oh, did you mean this?" And he's not. He's genuinely saying what he's meaning to say, and I'm like, "Oh, that backfired." So I never get it right. I never get it right at all. Honestly, it's terrible. But are we all okay? I saw Kelly, didn't I? Did Jessica come in? Did Jessica come in this evening? Just gotta draw this. Because it's all... Do you know, I watch people installing their wigs. And they have to do this. This is what I'm having to do. It's not a wig though. But that's what I feel like I'm doing. No, Phil's taken her. Has he taken... Oh, have you been winding him more? You'll do for me, Jess. Oh, thanks. Thanks, Warwick. Where has he taken her? What, are you playing him more? She normally does come in a bit later though, doesn't she? Bless her. But she did, I uploaded yesterday. She did reply. It's going to tell me tonight, isn't it? What I was going to say, Tiffany, I have to say, you haven't been commenting after the fact. And me and Warwick were talking about it the other day, saying, have you forgotten? Or you've just stopped doing it? And we wanted to know. I said, I think you've forgotten. Yeah, he's taken and can't see where he's left. Oh, that's so mean. Phil, have they been picking on you? That's awful. Oh, that's... Well, you can't just stop. You have to start again. You have to. Everyone else does it. And you were nowhere to be seen for about 3 videos. And it was only we were talking about it the other day, and I was like, I'm not too sure. I think she's forgotten. And there's me standing up for you. You only have to write comment. You only have to write that and a couple of laughing emojis. Just to boost it a little bit. But yeah, I am still trying, guys. Absolutely not. Absolutely is 3 videos. How many is it now, Warwick? It's got to be about 3 videos. It has to be. It's at least, all right then, it's at least 2 though. Because you didn't do any last week. And that was 2. I think it is support your sister. Yeah, support your sister. Yeah. Support me. You have to support me. Yeah, but I know you didn't do any last week, so it's at least 2. So you have to now. Can you hear that really loud? Is that really loud? I'm going to turn it off now. I was starting to get used to the sound. All posts. Yeah, all the posts. You don't say, oh, see you later, guys. You don't say that anymore. See you later. You don't do that either. You have to. You're part of the crew. Integral part. You can't just be here. It has to be at all times. Should just get my spoon out. Should I just stir it with my fan? It wasn't me anyway. It was Warwick who started. I said, right, sure. You star in your own video. I'm sorry. Please don't. You'd have to do it. And you can't even comment, so you won't be able to do that. Ooh. That was quite quick for me. Oh, but is it jingle time? I think it might be jingle time. My kid, honestly, Scarlett was so cranky today. She's so cranky. I think she's really tired. Exactly. I will no longer need to call. Oh, is that how you're thinking about it? Oh, I thought you'd have to do the video. Harsh. I'm very excited though, because I reckon I'll be all bronzed. I reckon I'll be like a bronze goddess on Thursday. Or like a pink goddess. Anyway, I reckon that's how I'm going to be on Thursday. I'm going to be all... I'm very excited. At a bit of sun. Release the video, Steve. Oh, yeah. All you have to do is comment and you'll stop getting stick. That's all you got to do is just write the word comment. And there'll be no more stick, I promise. What I was going to say. Yes. So, Thursday. What story? I was going to tell you... I was actually going to tell you tonight what story I'm doing on Thursday. And I think I've forgotten. Do you know what? I've got tiphatitis. I can't remember anything. It keeps going. That's 2 things I've forgotten today, isn't it? The mum's name, and now I can't even remember the story. That's terrible. Tiphatitis. I just made that up. Do you like that one? See, I'm cruising here. I'm gonna get a smack off my sister. I'm gonna let you go. It's a good job she lives so far away. I have to be nice to her. She's my moderator. Oh, I don't know what to do. So I'm going to... You say, I know I am. I'm so sorry. I'm cruising. I don't know where I'm getting my bravery from. I don't know what I'm doing. Have you seen the elbow? Have you seen the swelling? Can you see this? That's swelling, that is. Let me tell you. Can you see? It's not hypochondria. Look at it. Look at the swelling. How's that hypochondria? To be fair to everyone, it was me it was me who started the picking on me. Okay. Yes, but you're allowed to pick on yourself. Can we see though? Can we see that? So that's not hypochondria. I have this and I have this. That's not normal. Don't tell me that's normal. That's not a normal thing. So it's not hypochondria at all. To be very right. Okay, but I'm gonna do jingle time now. Let's go. Phil, I was just showing him my dodgy arm. That's all. That's why he's calling me hypochondria, because I'm showing my dodgy armor. But jingle time. Thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. And I can't remember the story, but I will be back on Thursday with my glowing tan. I should be should be radiating. Very excited about this bit of sun. You can tell we don't get it very often. That's why. But yes, I will see you on Thursday. If you think that's swelling, watch Phil with his sister-in-law. Why? What do you mean with his sister-in-law? What are you talking about? What have I missed? What's he on about, Phil? I don't know what that's about. I've obviously missed something. I don't know what it is, though. I won't be typing on your book. Oh, all right. Boom. That was a good one, though. That was a good one. I'll give you that. That was a good one to end it. Yeah. All right. I'll stop giving you a stick now. But you have to write on my posts. Like, comment, subscribe. Let's go. Okay. So I will see you all on Thursday. I've got to start flapping my arm around. Have a lovely couple of days. And if you could, after Tiffany, if you could like, comment, subscribe, guys, please. I'd really appreciate it. Look, comment and subscribe, guys, please. Good night to Kelly and Jilly and Warwick and Phil and Tiffany. And I think that's it. Have I got everyone? I think I have. Phil, Warwick, Kelly, Jilly and Tiff. I have. So have a fabulous couple of days, guys. And I will see you on Thursday. Take care. Bye. I'm kissing. I haven't turned the finger. Try not to put the finger on it. No, fingers there, so I have to come around this way. It's just stupid. Bye, guys. See you Thursday. Bye.